folks, Ron Rallis, everybody knows. By the way, am I saying it correctly? How do you... Rallis?
Rallis.
I hear it a million different ways. What's the proper Greenville pronunciation?
Rallis.
Okay. Ron Rallis is the guy who has turned the William Timmons congressional sex scandal from a news item into a story, a narrative, something no one saw coming, Ron. But you're driving the train. But before we get into that, everyone wants to talk about that. They want to know about the sex scandal.
I don't know how long that train's going to be driving with gas prices at their all-time high and groceries up. I don't know how. Let's talk about the important things here. Our president sucks. Gas prices are high. And God, I don't know if we can afford our groceries right now. And that's all that matters.
No, I think you're channeling an interview that the congressman did a few days ago on a local conservative radio show. Is that correct?
I think he said the same thing on about 5 interviews, but yeah.
Sounds like a broken record, huh?
Broken record.
Now, why would he want to distract people? And again, those are obviously important issues. Everyone's concerned about them, but that's not what people are talking about in Greenville. That's not what they're talking about across the state right now, is it?
No.
They're talking about you. Before we get to that, let's find out some more about you. People talk about William Timmons family, 5th generation, built Greenville's business community, et cetera. You're pretty proud of your family too, aren't you? Tell us a little
proud.
Bit. From?
Yeah, my dad's a full bird colonel, U.S. Army, few tours, commander. My brother is here at Greenville County. He's with the Greenville County Sheriff's Department. Been there for about 5 years. He's also legal, and retired U.S. Army, and he's great.
Yeah, you guys grew up California,
Southern California, traveled around for dad's school and Army a little bit, but settled in, born and raised Southern California, and came to Greenville about 2009, 2010. I did, and then they've all come, trickled in since then.
And what you've built here and frankly across the state, across the country since then, amazing. Your business, flipping houses, flipping commercial properties. Tell us what you do from a business perspective.
Yeah, so that's all I've ever done. I started back in college. I went to the Bible Institute of Los Angeles. It's similar to Bob Jones here locally. And I bought my first house while I was in school, rented rooms to roommates and bootstrapped it, started from nothing, came from nothing, and that's how I started.
And tell us a little bit about this venue that we're in now, the Church Greenville.
Church Greenville.
Social media, people know a lot about it.
Dude, I couldn't have planned it like that. But so I bought this about a year ago, this property about a year ago. We're in the village of West Greenville. And we were going to turn it into an event space, my partner and I. And we leased it back, gave it back to the church while they relocated, gave it back to them for free for a year. Oh, wow. And they just moved out last week. And my Instagram was shut down, and so I came back up on an Instagram that I opened for Church Greenville a year ago, and when you said, "Hey, I'm coming to Greenville, let's do this," I said, "Okay, let's go to church."
I know, man. Where I feel like I'm sweating in church, which is typical for me. But so there was a bone of contention though when people first started talking about this, and I'm a little bit to blame because I referred to your, what do we call her? Estranged wife? What's the proper term here?
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. She is strange, but I mean, but I don't know. We're still legally married. We're separated. We're going through a divorce. Yeah. I don't know the proper terms, but
Paula Dyer. And one of the things we called her a socialite, and there were implications made in other news outlets. South Mag did a big story on her about her empire. You took umbrage.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dig. I mean, like I said, I didn't start this, publicly, but when both Williams people and Paula's people started saying things, I just had to respond. And so, yeah, I don't know what empire, socialite, first off, we haven't lived in Charleston in a year. She's been back in Greenville and now Miami. So But that's not, I mean, the socialite or empire component is far from it. I'm not going to.
But they light a match, you bring a gas can. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I like it. I like it. Before we get into how all this started with the affair and the drama with the congressman, I want you to take us back to the beginning of the relationship with Paula. I mean, how you met, how you fell in love, and the story of Sterling, and walk us through some of that.
Yeah, so we met in Greenville. She was at late lunch, early dinner with a girlfriend, and I was at dinner with a friend, and I stopped her on her way out the door, and I said, hey. And about, 6 months later, we were engaged. And
It's quick.
Yeah, it was very quick. And then a year from there, we were married. She come to find out through these divorce proceedings that she'd only been divorced approximately 28. I think the number correctly. Don't hold me to it, but I believe it was 28 days from the time she was divorced to the time we got married. I didn't find that out until since we've been going through a divorce. But yeah, that's how we got married, and that's how we got together, and we've been together about 8 years. Not all of that was marriage. Some of that was the engagement and the last year of divorce.
You two work together? It's not just
Absolutely not. We do not work together.
No?
No, we have never worked together. We've never done it. I've helped work with her on some of her stuff, but she's never done anything done anything for me. No,
because the image that you read these magazine articles,
God is so yeah, the image that you read, you mean in the news, like the article that Timmons wrote, handed to you, so you give that all credibility. I mean, half those blogs, they're blogs. She writes them. I mean, she has an online journalism master's degree. She writes the articles and gives them to the reporters or the blogs or
so
the
she's
outlets.
inventing this image.
Oh God, yes, please. 100%.
So who is the real Paula? If not a socialite, successful businesswoman, who is the real Paula?
I don't know. I mean, the last words out of her mouth as she's serving me papers said, her words, we were in 2 different marriages. So who knows? And, with some of the things I've been hearing and things she's been saying and the things I've been learning about what she's doing, saying one thing and doing another, it's heartless. She creates her own narrative, her own life. I mean, I feel sorry for her, but I mean, it just brings me full circle back to the sole reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
Is Sterling. I mean, if it weren't for that girl, there's no reason for me to be here. You get into a pissing match with an ugly person, it just makes you ugly. I have no reason to be here with William. I don't care about William. I'm here for Sterling. I think it's laughable that, he's accused of something. He can't answer a direct question. The fact that his family, his siblings, his parents are excommunicating him and taking him completely out of the will. I mean, things like that don't happen. His sister calling him an outright liar and a cheat. Meanwhile, he's not even able to repent. Just apologize to your wife. You don't have to sit there and say, oh man, she's a better lawyer than me. She's a better lawyer than I ever. Nobody asked you that about her quality of her legal skills. We asked you were asked multiple times about direct questions about your personal life. And then to say, oh, well, that has nothing to do with how I vote. Well, I'm glad, because your voting is shit. And 2, it totally has to do with, people do care. That's why you were elected. That people care about your views and your ethics and your personal life and how you vote and how you carry yourself in the community and who you are as a person. And the fact that you scoff at some of the people saying you play with boys. Well, playing with boys is no one said that was wrong. I mean, you could play with boys all you want. But if that's where you set the bar of your lack of, integrity and ethics and what have you, you're missing the boat, dude. You're so delusional. It's sad.
Well, and there's a case to be made that part of this is more than an affair. Part of this is, abuse of power, manipulation of the institutions up here in Greenville. We'll get into that in a minute. But you talked about Sterling, and I want to back up a little bit. You talked about the beginning of your relationship with Paula. Tell us about Sterling, how she came into y'all's life, that whole process, because I know it's something that's, very emotional.
Yeah, it was. It was probably the toughest 6 years of my life. So yeah, Paul, we had a lot of infertility issues. Paula all but can't have a baby, and that isn't anything negative. I mean, we had a beautiful, or what I thought was, I thought we grew closer together during that time, and it was just such a burden to carry the pressures that a woman has on herself for not being able to have a baby, as well as you as a husband having to carry that to relieve her of some of that weight. But yeah, Sterling, I mean, we tried for 6+ years to conceive, probably, God, at least, 5 miscarriages at various stages of the pregnancy. Probably 4 IVF transfers, 1 surrogate, another 2 IVF transfers with the surrogate. Our broker, our surrogacy broker, was in Boston. Our original doctor for the embryos was in South Carolina. Our transfer doctor was in Southern California, and our surrogate was in Indiana. So it's just so much to come together, and just so blessed to have Sterling.
It came together.
And to have Sterling in our lives. And again, that's all I'm here for.
That's why you're here.
And if it weren't for her, I would not. I'd just be laughing at all this and on my way.
Well, you mentioned earlier a simple question, and this is the point where I would like to offer Congressman Timmons. We are in a church. If there is anything you would like to confess, the mic that Ron's got over there is available to you at any time. We'd be happy to sit down with you if you'd prefer to actually address some of the allegations instead of dragging this news outlet out on the local conservative talk radio. But let's go back to Sterling, and you say that's the reason you're here, why you're here. As I mentioned earlier, they threw a match and you brought a gas can. You've been pouring some gas, man. A lot of social media posts, and again, a lot of them are things people have sent to you that you sort of just put out there, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying anything. I haven't said anything about him and other guys. I haven't said anything about.
Do you think he's bisexual, or?
I have no look.
Does it matter?
There's a lot more than what's being said. Yeah, right, exactly. That doesn't matter.
Right.
That doesn't matter at all. I mean,
well, in our world, it doesn't matter. But I mean, he's a guy in a Republican plus 20 Trump district.
Agreed.
Heart of the Bible Belt, the most social conservative evangelical. I mean, it matters.
Agreed.
For him.
Agreed. And I mean, that goes to the, earlier about those other guys, it's a matter of, I think, yeah, I don't think I don't think him being whether he's bisexual or not is really of what's important. I think what's important are the accusations of him just being an outright liar, the accusations of him and his multiple affairs, all throughout his,
And Sarah Timmons has acknowledged as much to you. Is that correct?
Both Sarah, William, Paula, both Sarah Brittany, his sisters, his brother, and Paula herself have all acknowledged it.
That
And
he's had previous affairs since he's been married to Sarah.
Oh, excuse me. I thought you were pertaining only to Paula.
Oh. Well,
No,
either
the
one
other
of them.
ones are just people. So the other ones are no. To that I don't know, and I'm not sitting there. I'm not with him 24/7. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that I have a lot of. I've been shared. For example, the allegations of how he's voting with birth control, or the his abortions, that he's had supposed abortions multiple times. One girl claiming to be one of them on Instagram, but
They've said this publicly about Timmons. Oh, wow.
But she opened a new account just to be able to talk to me, and she hasn't felt like she can come out yet. But that's just one of three, from anywhere from high school to more recent. And again, I didn't come out with that because I couldn't verify that. Plus, I mean,
a lot of these people are probably scared to come forward.
Yeah, and that's why I offered to keep people. That's why I've never shared publicly anyone's name that's brought me information. And I've never reposted anything other than what people have said. Right. So, but I mean, people, you can, it's just, again, I don't really care about William. I care about how my wife is a manipulator. I just want out of this mess. I mean, they both manipulated my situation.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think one of the things, again, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. And let's say he's cheated one time with Paula,
right,
and that's it. Obviously we don't think that's the case, but let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. In the heart of the Bible Belt, that's enough. That's more than enough. But as we were talking earlier, there may be a bigger component to this, and I want you to take us back to the arrest. You were incarcerated. You were formally charged. Walk us through this and the manipulation that you're talking about.
Yeah. So it was a year ago this month. Days prior to this, my wife served me papers for divorce at my friend's house. So she wanted, her and William had already been together. They, per William's sister, this started in March or April of 21 in Washington, D.C.
But you didn't find out about it until?
I just found out about the two of them within the last month.
Wow.
I haven't known about I've known about William and Sarah helping Paula throughout all of this.
But you didn't know about the relationship.
That is correct.
So when you got served with the papers, you had no idea that they were already sleeping together, allegedly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So you get served, and what happens then?
So I got served, and then she immediately started asking for, I need a house, I need this, and I need that, and I need sterling. And prior to that moment, I had been 110% caregiver for Sterling, stay-at-home father for 24/7 for 19 months since the day she was born. Paula may have changed 10 diapers during that course of that time. In fact, I actually confront her on that on a video. I have a video of me confronting her on that fact at my friend's house on his Ring video that he sent me, just simply because Paula was accusing me of all this, nonsense that. So anyways, after that encounter, we agreed to go to counseling and do some counseling. Well, she had missed she missed our counseling session, and I called her and I said, "Hey, what's up? Are you okay? Why did you miss?" And she simply said, "I didn't think you wanted me there," and just started bawling, crying. I thought, you didn't talk to me for 2 days. And I said back to her, I said, "Well, your last texts were, I push you further away with my every word, and let's just do counsel." So we were going to counseling. Well, then she breaks down on this like reverse, mental, narcissistic, manipulation rant. And I got sucked into it. And so I went to her store, our store that we both owned 50-50. My building I owned 100% of. Her store we owned 50-50. That was just an outright money pit. And I go there to talk to her, and I bring her a devotional and work through, it was a John Piper devotional about leveraging your cancer in a situation, and just working through that. And I just wanted to talk to her, comfort her from when she was crying, why she felt that I didn't love her and didn't want her at counseling. Well, that turned into total shock and disbelief. I was there. I said, "Are you okay?" I mean, all this is on video.
Okay.
And this is south of a 3-minute period.
Okay.
And I put my hand up on her hip endearingly, as if anyone would do to their wife, and just consoling her. I mean, she just broke down to me and saying, "Hey, I didn't love you." And then now I just put my hand on her hip endearingly. She raises her hands in the video and says, "No, I haven't even touched her. That was it." She never moved from her place of where she was standing. So how is that kidnapping? It was our store. She never even moved an inch from where she stood. The video shows me just touching the small of her back to sit her down. And all that lasted south of 3-minute encounter. She said, "Please leave." I leave. And, and then she also, there was an employee there that she asked to have leave too. So, I mean, I don't know how, if you were scared, terrified for your life, that you would ask the employee to leave, but nonetheless, she left, and all this is caught on camera. Paula then leaves and goes to William Timmons' office.
Directly from the store.
I don't know the timeline or what's transpired, but I know 4.5 plus or minus hours went by between the time I left her at the store and she called the police. So, but I know that during that time frame, she left and went to William's office and met with at least Sarah at William's office. Sarah claims that William wasn't there. That does not mean that they didn't have a conversation with William by any means. Nonetheless, she went to William's office, met with at least Sarah, and again, Williams prior to him being elected, what he did at the solicitor's office was he worked as a prosecutor for domestic violence. And so
he's got a few connections in that office.
Oh yeah, please. So I mean, it's just at the end of the day,
in addition to being the sitting congressman for the district.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she calls the police. She goes back to the store, calls the police, files a police report. The police then they write their report. They claim on their report that they watched the video. On their police report that they wrote, they watched the surveillance video, knew about the surveillance video, watched the surveillance video, did not take it into evidence, then arrested me at gunpoint with dogs, guns, multiple police, hours later. Like we're talking just hours later.
So what's going through your mind while this?
Brother, I had no clue. I had just got done helping my mom at her house doing some renovation work all day. I just got home, taken a shower, went to bed, and I woke up to that. And
you're charged with domestic violence, with kidnapping.
Correct. Multiple domestic violence and kidnapping. And unfortunately, with COVID and all that nonsense, I was in jail for 4 days waiting to get my. I mean, I had 2 attorneys posting my bail to get me out that same day, but with COVID and the third-party monitoring system, I had to wait to get a bracelet on. I was in jail for 4 days. Then 9 months of home incarceration. I wore that bracelet for 9 months.
Ankle monitor.
Ankle monitor. And I mean, I was rearrested multiple times for violating different things. Something as simple as driving by. There's called red zones, and I drove by a place. I unknowingly drove by certain places. They don't tell you stuff, or I couldn't even go by my own places that I owned because Paula was affiliated with them. I mean, the whole thing was nonsense. I didn't see my daughter for 5 months straight.
5 months.
5 months after being with her 24/7 for 19 months.
And she was how old at the time?
19 months.
So all this is happening, and you're telling me that while this is happening, she's been having an affair with this guy.
Correct.
And your suspicion, or is you're believing that he's pushing the lever to keep you?
So that's the extent of what I know with Williams' involvement, or how the other stuff is the other.
Those charges are dropped now, right?
Oh yeah,
They're
not
done.
just dropped and dismissed. I'm straight up expunged.
Yeah, they're off the record.
But how that I had to the system wanted me to do PTI, plea out a deal, go to anger management, do all this community service,
admitting guilt. Right.
And I was like, so the reason I had it on for 9 months is because I'm not doing that. Let's go to jury trial. So my attorney subpoenaed the video footage from the supposed incident, and I put it up on Instagram and just told him I'm not backing down. I'm not. I mean, so when you say earlier, I've am I being too loud, or am I going too far? I mean, I was quiet and a doormat and peaceful for a year, and the system, it just is broken. And I mean, even the Paula's divorce attorney. Paula has one of Williams' friends, Bruce Bannister. He's a House of Representative. He elects our judges. I mean, this is a whole nother issue. This is a totally separate issue, but a very disgusting one in and of itself that needs its own reevaluating and just that position. I don't know Bruce. I don't really care about Bruce. My only thing is, someone who elects our judges should not be having a private practice representing clients in front of those same said judges. It's just it's outright disgusting. And how am I supposed to be treated fairly while I'm going into family court for this emergency hearings that are last less than 15 minutes, and my life and my daughter's life is dictated by those 15 minutes while I walk in with an ankle monitor on, fighting a battle that could never have been won, never even could have. No judge is gonna look at me with an ankle monitor, 2-time felon, against a little blonde girl and an attorney that elects their positions. I mean,
the scales aren't even there.
We're not even on the same damn scale. It's just stupid. There are so many things that have gone into negatively impacting my life and my daughter's life over the last year that are just disgusting. And to say, oh, Ron, you're being too crazy, you're unhinged, or this or that. I mean, the system's unhinged. The system needs to be unhinged. The system needs to be dismantled and reevaluated, and just this whole good old boy system is outright wrong.
Well, you get no argument. FITSNews obviously been leading the charge on this judicial corruption saga for years, so we are 100% in agreement on that. I did want to ask you that. You're right. We did talk before we came on, and I did ask you, there has been some discussion of your tactics. Some people have said you have gone too far. And I did want to ask you the text messages from Sarah where she talked about her miscarriage. And you did put those on Instagram. Did you feel that maybe that was, I mean, having gone through, and I just listened to you, obviously, still incredibly emotional what you went through to get Sterling here. Tell me about that. Did you think maybe, because some would argue Sarah's really as much of a victim here as you, or do you not see it that way?
Well, do I care about Sarah? Yes. Mm-hmm. I think that, yes, I care about Sarah. Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cold, though. I mean, she had never, to my knowledge, had never publicly discussed.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm not the one who, again, brought this out. Those same people, including Sarah, have said, hey, Ron, keeping this private has not helped me in any way, and has not helped Sterling. Mm-hmm. Keeping this private only has helped those who are at fault. Mm-hmm. Why Sarah's staying with William, I don't know. Everybody has their speculations. It doesn't matter. Now, that can be private. I mean, what they do and how they respond to it can be private, whatever. I don't have, am I sorry that I hurt her? If that hurt her, yes, 100%. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I'm tired of being hurt. I mean, Sarah herself wrote an affidavit against me for family court in support of how bad I was as a father, and then and helped Paula during the course of my arrest.
All while Paula was sleeping with her husband.
Then Sarah tells me while in Italy, oh, Ron, I'm so sorry for you. Paula manipulated you. Paula manipulated her into thinking how bad I was, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm really just, it wasn't to be, hurt Sarah. It was to just, I mean, that's one little thing in the midst of all this noise.
Sure.
So, am I sorry for hurting Sarah? Yeah, I apologize if I may have done something or stepped over the line in that regard.
Well, then there's the flip argument, though, is that you've been kind of pushed a little bit over that line. Some of the text messages that you've received from Timmons family members,
yeah, they're just outright sick,
over the top.
Yeah. I mean, they're unbelievable. Like as if I'm the one doing something wrong. I mean, am I getting an apology for, I mean, I don't think I would say, you read it publicly. I mean, I think 7 out of the 10 words were all foul language. I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, you and I don't even have that kind of potty mouth.
No, nobody. The level, it's just laughable. I mean, the hypocrisy in all of this is just an outright joke. Like damn, when we were in it, what people don't realize is that we knew them prior. I mean, so it's not as though this was just some random thing. Like we were pretty close, and Sarah and Paula were extremely close, like best friends. And going through the divorce, I mean, Paula and Sterling lived at their house for a while. I mean, what's so sick is that during the course of my time over the last handful of months, I've had supervised only visitations with my daughter. And there was twice where the Timmons, William himself, has come to pick up my daughter with a fucking ankle monitor on my ankle while I'm sitting there having to have a court supervised visitations. I mean, I paid $50,000 over the last year just to be able to have normalcy with my daughter and have a full-time live-in court supervisor at our house, travel. I mean, the lengths in which I went and had to go through to maintain a level of normalcy and a healthy relationship with my daughter is next level. Like, there's so much that people just don't know or don't understand or haven't said. And and again, it's an outright nightmare what I've been through. I mean, it's disgusting.
And again, he's doing all that while sleeping with this woman, which you didn't know about until you said a month ago.
Yeah.
So and I guess this is the most important question, where do you see this story going? Because from my seat, the person driving this story right now is you.
And again, I mean, I have been consistent with, hey, I'll walk away. Give me Sterling and I'll walk away. I'm terrified I'm terrified for that little girl.
How so?
Well, and sometimes I hate how Paula works so much or pretends to work so much and has Sterling in daycare, early daycare, then aftercare. I mean, Sterling's scheduled since, has been Paula dropping her off at 7:30 in the morning and picking her up at 5:45, 6 o'clock in the evening. And that's awful. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think that's better than the alternative, again, prior to the separation, Paula's changed her diaper maybe 10 times throughout our daughter's life. This is just, she's using her as a pawn. It's total manipulation, everything but I mean, what's sad is that she's enjoying, I know for a fact in her sick world, this is enjoyable for her. She'd rather have, bad press is, good press in her perspective. So
essentially what you're saying is that to her, Sterling is not so much a daughter as leverage against you?
100%, both leverage against me and a prop in her Instagram posts, 110%.
Obviously, there's going to be court drama related to this, lawsuits. There'll be obviously custody. There'll be a divorce proceeding. A lot of that will probably be sealed. Bruce Bannister, a lawmaker, as you mentioned, can probably get those files sealed. What's your thought on as this saga moves into the courtroom, probably multiple courtrooms? What's your thoughts on where it goes? Do you think all those records should stay open? People should see all this?
To be honest with you, I'm transparent. I really don't care. Mm-hmm. Again, my result is I want Sterling, and some people are, whether they're supportive or not, they're saying, hey, shut up. But the thing is that I can't get any worse than what my current situation is with my daughter. It can't get any worse. Right now, I have every other weekend. I can't get any worse than that.
Yeah.
I have every other weekend, but I get her over since the last hearing. I've had her almost, if not 90% of the time, simply because Paula's out gallivanting, doing other things. She just wants to have control, but she doesn't want to have Sterling. So I don't know what the outcome will be. I pray to God that I have full custody and Sterling and I can, I don't want to take her from her mom. Mm-hmm. I just want her mom healthy. I want my child protected, my child safe, stable, and if if the powers that be can help me accomplish that, like they're accomplishing all these other things under the table, it is what it is. But again, I'll stop when I get Sterling. And I don't. And again, I mean, yeah, I had to. I'll walk away. I don't really care about anything else.
What happens to Timmons is irrelevant to you.
I mean, what happens to Timmons is not irrelevant, but my focus is my daughter. I would not even have started this if it weren't for the fact that I have to have my daughter. My daughter needs me.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't care about anything else. Everything else is a distant second. And so yeah, if I can accomplish that, great. I'll leave everyone alone.
Ron, you have been a surprise from the beginning of this. I'm not sure what, because the first interaction I had with you, somebody sent me one of your messages like, look at this guy dogging you out on social media. And I was like, oh, who is this guy? But the more I looked at kind of I mean, you're a raw nerve, man. You're out there. You're just putting it out there. I got to say, I'm impressed and grateful that you came and sat down with us. We're willing to answer questions, including some tough questions. Grateful for the use of this venue. Can't wait to see what you do with it. Will you have us back when it's up and running?
Sounds good.
Is there anything we missed? Anything you want folks to know that I haven't asked you, that we haven't covered, that is on your heart?
I don't believe so.
Well, I know you're heading out of town and got to travel, but Ron, I appreciate you taking the time today, man, and I hope we'll stay in touch and as this story continues to unfold.
Thank you, brother. Thanks.
Thank you, bro.